All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. It is my intention to bring you value, to bring you a transmission, to share things that can potentially really make an impact in your life, that can bring more empowerment, that you might even learn something that you can share with your family or your friends or your clients, your children, and to really just connect, to bring people together for this common purpose of the betterment of ourselves and each other, and to share in this kind of crazy life and time that we're in. You may have seen I'm going through a bit of a weird thing. So today I am not on my A game. I haven't slept well, haven't eaten well, and it's 8 p.m. my time. So my brain is not firing on all cylinders, but we're going to do our best. And that's what we're going to say before we get started. So let us start there and see how we go. All right. Okie dokie. Thumbs up if you can see my screen. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Let us see. Okay. All righty. So we're here for the Master Your Mind, Body, and Spirit webinar. Today, what we're going to go into are the 7 holistic health and biohacking secrets for total human optimization. Now, as we get started and you're coming in and you're getting settled, getting grounded, I would love for you to take a moment, and you don't have to write in the chat yet, but just take a moment to reflect on what brought you here. Was it curiosity? Was it a specific goal you have in mind? Was there some kind of health challenge that you or a family member, a loved one is going through? Maybe it's something else. I want you to just hold that intention, and in a little bit, I'm going to have you share that. But for now, just kind of think about why you're actually here. Okay. And well, if you want to, go ahead and write it in the chat if you want to do that as well. You can for sure do that. My intention here is and why I put together this webinar is to help you unlock the secrets to unparalleled health and vitality, to discover cutting edge techniques and ancient wisdom to elevate every aspect of your life. The other reason why is because there's only so much that I can transmit on Instagram, which is a platform that I love. However, it's quite limited in its scope based on these 90-second snippets. And through email lists or even YouTube videos, you just don't get the same energy of being live together, being in this space, coming together for a co-creative, collaborative purpose. And so hosting events or workshops or webinars that are live like this, I find is the thing that fuels me the most. And it's the way that I can get through a deeper transmission and more of the juicy goods in a short amount of time. Normally I talk really fast, but as I mentioned today, my brain is firing a little slower. So maybe it'll even be better. Maybe I won't talk so fast and the message can land even deeper. I want you to reflect if you're in the right place, and it's totally okay if you're not. You are always free to go at any time. But what we're going to go through here and how you know you're in the right place is if you feel like maybe you've been constantly pushing yourself or trying different things or working on your health and working on your goals, but for some reason you still aren't reaching that fullest potential. You just don't feel that fully healthy, that fully vital, that fully alive, and there's something missing. Maybe despite your efforts to eat well or stay active and take care of yourself, something just feels off. You know that there's a deeper level of vitality, focus, and joy that you haven't yet tapped into. And maybe it's some different words. Maybe, these are the words I'm using, but maybe there's something different. So use or replace those words that resonate for you. You're in the right place if you're tired of quick fixes and you want to master a truly sustainable, holistic approach to life. Like I said, there's only so much that people can get from Instagram or from social media. And it's kind of like a collage where you're just pasting these little snippets of advice and inspiration or tools and techniques. And that can be really overwhelming and hard to put together the puzzle pieces. So maybe you're here because you're ready to move beyond these fad trends, fad diets, these fad wellness hacks, or these trends that we're seeing online, and these surface level solutions. And you want to understand the real foundations of long-term health and optimization. And you're in the right place if you're curious about the power of biohacking, but you also believe in the wisdom of ancient holistic practices. And it's okay if you don't even know what any of that is. I'm gonna go there with you. But if you do, you know, modern science and ancient wisdom don't have to be separate, just like science and spirituality don't have to be separate. Maybe you're interested in blending cutting edge strategies with the timeless methods to create balance in your life. And you're in the right place if you're craving more energy, mental clarity, and emotional resilience in your daily life. You're done with the feeling foggy, fatigue, and stretched thin, and you want practical tools that can help you feel more energized, focused, and aligned with your true self. And you know that true health goes beyond just the physical, or maybe you're exploring that concept and you're seeking mastery with the mind and the spirit too. And you're ready to integrate all aspects of yourself, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, so you can live with purpose, clarity, and fulfillment. And you're in the right place if you're hungry for knowledge and ready for more. Now, because we are still quite a small enough group live, I would love to know, and this is the time I'd love for you to type into the chat box why you're here, like what you actually came for, what you want to get out of it, maybe a goal you have, or a health challenge, or whatever it is that's personal to you. I'm going to go through and read all of them and make sure that I weave that in as much as I can into this presentation, because I want you to get what you came here for. So if you are not sure how to do that, you just go on the chat section at the bottom of your screen. You click chat, there's going to be a chat box that opens up and you can type that in. If you don't want to type it in and you want to be anonymous, that's totally fine. You don't have to. But I would love to know so I can get a deeper sense of what it is that you're looking for, and so that I can give that to you. Okay. Thanks for hosting. You said I learned from you. Thank you. You got this. Optimize health, receiving your inspirational energy. Thanks, love. Connecting with an awesome mentor. You, everything you say resonates with me. So I wanted to learn more so I can become the most vibrant version of myself. Amazing. Your personality, knowledge, and energy. That's okay. I got excited to optimize my health. Love it. I want to optimize my health and vitality as well. Find my ways to boost the health of my family, 3 kids and husband. Love it. Learning more about natural healing and strategies, optimizing health, hormone balance, dealing with perimenopause, hypothyroidism, and slow metabolism. Okay, perfect. Thanks for sharing that. A fresh perspective and additional knowledge is power. Cool. Love it. If you're still thinking or still typing, you can go ahead and add those in. Great. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so legal disclaimer. This is important. And anyone that is a coach and you host anything, you need to always add these legal disclaimers, because you never know who's watching your presentations and trying to twist your words and all sorts of things. So I just want to let you know, I am not a medical doctor. This is not considered medical advice. This is for educational purposes. And as always, you want to think and act with your own discretion. Okay, we got that? Good, perfect. So about me, my name is Samantha Lotus. I'm a holistic master coach, a human optimization specialist, and business mentor for conscious leaders. If you don't know my story or my background and all my credentials, I don't like to share them in every presentation. I don't feel that necessity. But if you want to see the credentials or my background and my all of the diplomas, you can go to my website, samanthalotus.com, about, and see all of the credentials and trainings. But essentially, above that, to me, more importantly than that, I'm here to show you not just what's possible, but what is inevitable for you when you go all in on yourself. And at a broader scope, the main people that work with me are leaders, whether that's leaders of your household, whether that's leaders in your company or leaders in the world, visionaries, creatives. When leaders are looking to achieve full self-actualization in their personal and professional lives, they work with me. That's a little bit about me. Now, what you'll learn today. So in this next 90 minutes or so, or maybe 80 something minutes now, we're going to go through the 7 holistic health strategies to integrate mind, body, and spirit for peak performance, cutting edge biohacking tips to boost your energy, focus, and longevity, how to uncover and eliminate the hidden blocks sabotaging your well-being, simple yet transformative practices to unlock your highest potential, plus a sneak peek into my signature OPTIMUM program designed to take your health to the next level. And there's a special bonus for anyone who stays on until the end. There'll also most likely be time for at least a couple of questions. So stay tuned for that. Okay, what I want to do here is I want to just stop sharing my screen and bring it back down to just us hanging out. Let me know in the chat, write a number 1 if you've ever been to a webinar like this, any kind of health webinar or business webinar. Put a 1 in the chat if you've been to a webinar before, and put a 2 in the chat if this is your first webinar ever. 1, 1, 1. Okay, so we got a couple 1s. Is this anyone's first webinar ever? Please put a 2. I'd love to know. Okay, most 1s. Cool. Great. It's cool if it's your first time too. So you know that the way webinars go, or maybe you don't know, but I'm going to pull back the secrets on how a webinar goes. A webinar is normally there's a sequence where we tell you our whole story and we bring you through the hero's journey of how we were a 0 to a hero. And then we bring you through this magical journey of what we created and the amazing results we've received. And then we show testimonials on how other people have benefited, and we qualify ourselves and put a lot of emphasis on how wonderful what we are doing is. And then we sell you a program at the end, and we show some time limited bonuses, and that's it. That's how a webinar goes. And I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to have a bunch of slides. I didn't want it to be this webinar thing, because I don't like those. and I get why they're effective, but that's just not me. So I wanted this to be just real talk. Me hanging out with you, you hanging out with me. So if you're hoping for a perfectly sequenced presentation webinar, well, I apologize. That's not what you're going to get, but you are going to get some real talk. When we are looking, or when we're looking, when we're looking out at the world right now, and we're looking, especially when it comes to health, there are a lot of experts, there are a lot of gurus, there are a lot of everything and everyone, influencers saying a whole bunch of stuff. A lot of it makes sense. A lot of it doesn't. A lot of it's confusing. A lot of it's convoluted. And it can be challenging to know what to do and where to navigate. And what we find in marketing, like to be able to market your program and blow up in sales. And most of the time people need to do something really innovative, really different, cutting edge, say, the niche that's so different from what everybody else is doing. And so that is why trends are trends. That's why there's this new diet, this new superfood, this new biohacking thing. And while they're all cool, it's actually glamorizing something to sell it, but it is deviating pretty far away from the truth. And normally the truth, like the capital T truth, is quite basic. It's quite simple. And so while hopefully I teach you something new and I help you see things in a different way and shift a perspective or open or expand the consciousness around health and healing and human optimization, some of this stuff is not sexy. It's not cutting edge. It's not revolutionary. It's actually going to be bringing it right back down to the basics. But hold tight, because there's some magic in this. There's some magic in some of the basics. So I'm going to hopefully go through the whole spectrum of some mind expanding things, but also some very basic foundationals that cannot be overlooked. And sometimes the true potency is in the overlooked basic and foundations. But the first thing, the first holistic health strategy is, and this is number 1, is truly a reclamation. What the heck does that mean? It means claiming yourself and choosing that you are going to put yourself first. Nothing that you do outside of that can ever really land unless you first make the super intentional decision to choose. If ever you do something where you haven't really chosen, you're going to be wibbly wobbly. You're going to have one toe in, one toe out. You're going to be kind of into it, kind of committed, but not really. And you're not going to really get results. So the first thing for human optimization is to powerfully know that you deserve to be fully well, to be fully vital, to be in your power, to be optimized, to have a body and a mind that is full of life, because you're worthy of that and you deserve that. And I'm sorry to say it, but no one is going to give that to you apart from you. The government's not going to save you. Your mom's not going to save you. Your partner's not going to save you. I'm not going to save you. I can't save you. I can give you all the information in the world. And yet you need to want this for yourself. And not just what I'm saying, but the health, the reclamation to feel truly good gets to be the first thing. So I want you to have that reflection within yourself for a moment is, do I actually really want this? Is now the time for me? Is this really important to me? And I want you to rate yourself on a 1 to 10. How important is it for you to be really actually healthy? Not just like, right? Because if you're just, this 90 minutes is going to be a waste of your time. So if you are a 7 and below on the scale of how much you actually want this, for your sake and time, I recommend that you invest your time somewhere else. If you are 8, 9, or 10, then this is going to be worth your time. And I tell this to anybody, anyone that wants to work with me, that wants to build a business, that wants to do anything that they want to do. I say, how committed are you? If it's under an 8, quit already, because you're not going to have the energetic momentum, the power of the choosing to actually go through with it. So don't waste your time. Do something that you actually want. So you have to want this. And you can debate me on this. This is philosophical. And maybe you kind of want it and you kind of get results. Cool, that's fine. You can stay. But I hope that it lands for you to choose yourself in this. Okay, so beyond that, the second thing, and I think that this is one of the most important things that we can do on a planet at this time is, and is often so overlooked, is supporting our nervous system, AKA creating and imprinting safety in ourselves and in our bodies. Whether you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and if you don't know what that is, maybe Google it for a sec, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, or maybe if you know the chakras, and if you don't know, you can Google that too, put 2 tabs open and have that open for later. The foundation for human well-being, or the base needs that we have as human beings, not just to thrive, but to survive, foundational is safety. The root chakra, or the base foundation need is safety. And we overlook that. It's a base need. Okay, safety. What safety? Oh, we have a house, we're not being attacked, so we're safe. Well, no. We live in a world that is so hyper unnatural with all of the stress and all of the demands and all of the responsibilities and the news and the pandemics and the politics and the traffic and the Wi-Fi and like all the things that our brains and our nervous systems are, and maybe not all of us, I'm not trying to program you here, but most people are in a chronic state of fight or flight. Just this like hyper vigilant, sympathetic dominance where the nervous system, there's always like a little siren going off. We're kind of, in this modern world, most people are living like that. And when we're living like this, our bodies, our minds are primed to feel innately unsafe. And our brains and nervous systems can only be in one of 2 states. There's no real in between. It's either I am safe and I am resting and digesting and healing, which is called the parasympathetic nervous system, or rest and digest, or I am in fight or flight, or even fawn, where it's just kind of shut down, and I feel unsafe and I am just not in repair. I'm in this fight or flight mode. And so the body actually cannot do its proper functions like digest, support our immune system, balance our hormones, provide the nutrients to the thyroid and the adrenals and the mind and the energy system, the mitochondria. We can't properly do any of that healing and restoration when we are chronically in fight or flight. So, pardon. So the first thing, beyond anything, beyond any food you eat or exercise you do or supplement you take or biohacking, you have to bring your body as often as possible into a state where it feels safe. Put a 1 in the chat if that makes sense. And if you're like, I don't understand what you're saying, put a 2 and I'll go deeper. 1, okay. Makes sense, okay. So even just that, even if this is the only thing that you take from this, if you are chronically under stress, chronically on this like, oh, right? You're not going to be able to heal, regenerate, restore, sleep well, digest, have proper hormones, have fertility, at least not to its full capacity. So what do we do about that? Because the modern life is kind of inevitable, and I'm not going to tell you all to just pack up your bags and, fly to an eco village in Costa Rica and just live off the land, although you could. But we have to have support systems to manage and to mediate and to regulate in this modern world. So these are the not sexy things that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to get them out of the way right at the beginning, but they're actually probably the most important because they are that foundation. So they're the root. Like if you're building a house and you just put walls, but without like any foundation, well, the walls are going to topple, right? You need to have a good solid base. So what are those foundations? The first thing, and remember, this is not sexy, okay? Probably not going to blow your mind here, but it's important. The first thing is actually eating and digesting enough of the right things. So most people are not getting anywhere near enough protein, good quality fats. They're not getting enough of that, or the micro vitamins or micro minerals. A lot of times people think they're getting enough of the right foods. They think they're getting enough of the right proteins and the right fats. But when you actually start to track, a lot of especially women are realizing, wow, I'm only getting half, if even, the amount of protein I'm meant to get a day. I'm only getting maybe half of the amount of good quality omega fatty acids that I'm meant to get in a day, which are required for the brain, for the nervous system. And I'm actually getting triple the amount of carbohydrates, and often not the right kind of carbohydrates for myself. And so learning about the right kind of nutrition and the right timing of nutrition, the right way to digest nutrition, this is so important. And one of the things that I see the most are it's more amongst women, but it's women that are wanting to lose weight, wanting to boost their metabolism, wanting to look a certain way on these fad diets, on keto or on the vegan diet or on extreme fasting or low calories, calorie restriction. Most people, and especially women, are just not eating enough. And most people don't even know how much that's supposed to be. But for the average size woman, and I'm not average, I'm 6 feet tall, but for the average 5'6" woman, most women still need, if they're regularly active, around 2,000 calories a day. And a lot of women think I'm eating 2,000 calories a day and I'm getting enough protein. And most women and men even need to be eating around 1 to 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. I know pounds, most of you might know pounds, but if whatever you are in pounds, just type in online. So if I'm 140 pounds to kilograms is 63 kilograms. And then you would times your kilograms. So if I'm 63 times 1.3, that's a minimum. If we want to make it very simple, most of the time for optimal range, we need to be eating between 80 on the low end and 120. This is the median range, grams of protein a day. When people start to track how much protein they eat, most of the time people come in at 30 grams, maybe 50 grams. A lot of people that actually eat really healthy are maybe around 60 grams, but it's very hard to actually achieve the optimal amount of protein in a day unless you are consciously tracking. So this is one of the simplest things that you can start to do, is just being mindful of the amount of protein that you're getting and aiming, even just to start, for 90 grams a day, which would mean 30 grams of protein at each meal. Now there's many different ways that you could find this out. You can Google 30 gram protein meals. But essentially that would be maybe around 4 eggs with a little bit of yogurt or cheese. That could be a chicken breast. That could be a piece of steak or some fish, salmon. There's many different ways that you can get this 30 grams. Even protein powders can be helpful. But one of the reasons why I don't promote a vegan diet, or even most of the time a vegetarian diet, unless you're really eating a lot of eggs and cheese and dairy, is that most people are just very deficient in protein. And protein is required for the body to heal. It's required for the body to build. For blood type matters, I do think blood type matters in terms of your ancestry. And that's actually something that I teach quite a bit of in my program. but it still doesn't matter that much. We still need, your body size matters, right? Like I lived in Korea, the average Korean person who is much shorter than the average Northern European person, they're going to have different protein needs and different calorie needs because of their body size, but still no less than 60 grams of protein. Now, if you have O negative type blood or O blood, which I do, then there's an even higher requirement for protein, animal protein. Say you have a lineage and your ancestors are still very much in those areas like Eastern Europe, where they have the A type or B type. Sometimes they can deal better with more vegetarian type proteins from beans and legumes and lentils. But what we've seen, and my own nutritional philosophy over working for the last 15 years, is that having some type of animal proteins, having the heme iron in it, is going to help immensely reaching your protein goals, but also supporting your blood, right? Supporting the iron level of your blood. And this is a big topic in iron. Most people are actually subclinically or like deficient in iron and deficient in, yeah, it's just deficient in both forms of the iron and the ferritin. But when you go get a blood test, there's a little deviation. When you get a blood test from your regular doctor, their ranges are here, which says it's normal. Or sorry, they're here when it says it's normal. So most people are within the range. However, in functional medicine, our ranges are here. So most people actually fall below the line. And when you have anemia, it's exhaustion. You feel very, very tired. Your hair is thinner and weaker. Your bones, your nails, your teeth, your vision, everything is sluggish. Your thyroid, there's a huge connection between gut, between iron and or ferritin and thyroid. And there's just not enough from plant-based to boost up the blood of the human body like you get from heme-based proteins. So that's one that I would start to look at as a foundation. If you are chronically stressed or you have excess weight or you have higher cortisol, the best thing that you could do is upon waking, and this is again, not sexy, but one of the greatest tips, especially for women, is when you are upon waking, having a meal that is a savory meal, rich in protein, fat, and carbohydrates within the first hour of waking, and making sure not to have coffee first. This is a big one. And if you want to be brave and write in the comments if you're guilty of having coffee on an empty stomach, this is one of the fastest and easiest ways to completely wreck your hormones, mess up with your metabolism, mess up with your adrenals because of all of the cortisol, and completely dysregulate your blood sugar throughout the day. So waking up and having a protein-rich breakfast first thing in the morning, not right as you wake up, there's obviously a little gap there, but within the first hour, and then having your coffee or even your matcha latte or your Earl Grey, your English breakfast, whichever kind of caffeinated beverage, this is going to create and send those signals of safety in the body. And if you're wondering what are some good healthy fats you can have, that's some avocado, that's olives. You can have, if you're tolerant to dairy, cottage cheese or halloumi. You can have salmon, you can have smoked salmon and avocado. There, olive oil, there's many different good quality fats. And then your good quality carbohydrates, some of the things that are nourishing to the body that help the body feel calm and grounded. Or if you're looking at it from an Ayurvedic lens, more kapha, and which is a rounded, grounded, rooted, are things that are like root vegetables. So having some root vegetables or even potatoes, sweet potatoes, baked, parsnips, beets, things that are warm, cooked, grounding, and they're not going to turn into sugar in your body in the same way that, say, maybe a piece of white toast would, or a glass of fruit juice would, or something that instantly turns into carbohydrates like a croissant or a pastry, or even pancakes that are just carbohydrates and sugar, right? We want to start to think, how can I deeply nourish my body, especially in the morning, and then throughout the day as well, having regular meals. And if you're somebody that you know that you are hyper stressed and your digestion has taken a hit from that, it would also be best to eat maybe 5 times a day, smaller meals regularly until you stabilize your blood sugar and you stabilize your cortisol. So this is something that we can go for hours and hours on, but it's something that I want to introduce here is the proper way of eating. And now eating, it's not just what you eat, it's how you eat it. This is the second thing. We want to be programming ourselves as much as possible to be in that calm state. And there's nothing more primal than eating. This is survival, right? For thousands and thousands of years, as we've evolved as humans, food is survival. When you're a little baby, your mother's milk is survival. When you grow, food is survival. And so when you are eating, it is one of the best times that you can program in safety to your body. And it's one of the worst times to be stressed, on the go, on the run, doing a bunch of things, gobbling it down, not being present. Because when you're gobbling things down, eating really quickly, eating while stressed, eating while working, you are literally encoding into the food, into your digestion, stress. And that wreaks so much havoc on the body. So I hope this makes sense so far. Now, the other thing is we talked about timing a little bit. We talked about the way that you eat, the what that you eat. And the last thing here around food is, and this is one that takes a little bit of practice, but it's releasing all of the fear and stories and shoulds and shouldn'ts around food. If you are a health and wellness person, you've probably done a lot of research. You probably, went deep down the rabbit hole into nutrition, and you might have seen that you might have seen that everything is bad for you, right? Like everything has GMOs and oxalates and acidity and this, that, the other thing, and high histamines. And it's easy to fall into the trap of fearing all food. However, and even just if you're going to eat pancakes for breakfast, or if you're going to eat a piece of cheesecake or a piece of pizza, and you know that there's gluten and there's dairy and it's not good and it's not perfectly balanced with the glucose, all of that stress and all of those negative stories when you're eating is one of the best ways to totally dysregulate your nervous system and slow down your ability to heal. So one of the practice here, and this is truly a higher level practice, is to be mindful when you're eating. And whatever you choose to eat is fine. If you have a piece of cheesecake, bless the piece of cheesecake. Prepare your body, take a few deep breaths. Tell that piece of cheesecake, I'm going to love you. I'm going to eat you. We're going to have the best time ever. I earned this. I'm choosing you. You're mine. You're going to be a part of my body. You are welcome in my body. I am having the best time ever. Because when you shame yourself when you eat, oh, I know I shouldn't be having this, but I'm going to have it anyways. And then I'm going to start my diet tomorrow. Oh, I'm so fat. I really shouldn't do this, but this is literally hell frequency. This is shaming yourself, guilting yourself, shoulding yourself, adding in fear, adding in judgment. It's literally like eating hell. And I know that's extreme as a metaphor, but this is the way that I really see it. So you need to free yourself from all of these judgments and these lower vibration frequencies when it comes to your food, because food in this physical world is considered survival. And we need to be establishing that baseline safety within your system. Okay, there's so much more we can say, but moving on from there. Now, and if you have questions about nutrition, please put them in the chat and we'll chat more. But again, this is something that we can go hours into, and I do go deeper if you want to explore that more in some of my programs. Okay, the second thing is balanced movement. Now, everybody knows that they should be moving, right? Everybody knows that. I know I should do this. But what we see is that most of the time, it's completely polarized. Either people are just not moving at all and being very, very sedentary, or they're moving actually too much. And so where's that healthy balance? You get to decide for yourself where that is. However, when we're looking at establishing safety, some of the best rules are every day, get in at least 6,000 steps. Ideal, if you're looking for optimal, is 10, but even if you can just have 6,000, or if you're having none, even just get to 3,000 and work your way up. This is one of the greatest ways to downregulate your nervous system. And it's so simple. It's just walking. It doesn't have to speed walk. You can just walk. It can be pacing in your house. It can be outside. It can be on a treadmill. But just walking, it is great for fat loss. It's great for metabolism. It's great for your neurostimulation and your proper nervous system regulation. So just that. if you don't want to go to the gym yet, or that's too much for you, or you cannot, that even just walking. Now, if you have any issues and you can't walk, maybe sitting and dancing, moving, swimming, cycling, anything within your mobility range, but at least getting 1 hour of movement in the day. Now, to be very optimal, there is nothing more important in terms of movement than weightlifting at least 2 to 4 times. 2 would be the minimum, 4 times would be an optimal. You don't need to be going 7, but lifting weights is one of the most foundational and important things for every human body. What this does is it helps with regeneration, it helps with healing, it helps with metabolism, it helps with oxytocin, with dopamine, serotonin, all of the happy hormones. It helps regulate the nervous system. But what it really does too is it strengthens our musculoskeletal system, and it sends the signal to the body that we are strong enough to be able to get up from sitting, strong enough to be able to run if we have to, strong enough to be able to ward off some kind of danger if it was to be in our field. Having a strong body is a strong mind, is a strong spirit, is a strong system. So there's endless amounts of exercise plans, but most of them are completely crazy. Like all of these crazy, like being upside down and jumping, or like running backwards on the treadmill, spinning, flipping, these like cardio exercises of these people in these jumpy things, like trends. And if you love them, fine. But it's just basic that we want to go back to. Squats, basic. Lunges, deadlifts, split squats, like the main muscle groups. These are things you don't even need to have a gym for. If you have a gym, you could do things like Romanian deadlifts or leg curls, glute bridges, main muscle groups being the glutes, the stabilizers of the body. Then the upper body, doing shoulder lifts, rows, everything that works on the back of the body, bringing you up, bringing you strength, working on the neck, on the shoulders, on the chest, on the core, things like stabilizations. This is the most overlooked thing. We talk about it all the time. You need to exercise, but it's the most overlooked thing at just all of the positive benefits that it have. And there's actually almost nothing worse. It's one of the top 5 worst things that you can do to not lift weights for your overall health, especially if you're struggling with digestion, metabolism, hormones, self-confidence, mood, sleep, energy. This is where we want to start to focus. So if this is something that that you have not been doing, maybe even set a goal to start lifting weights, or even just in your home, doing your body weights at least once a week to get started. And then to be super optimal with movement, you want to be dancing. You want to be moving your body in an expressive way, whether that's yoga, tai chi, dancing, karate, flailing around if that makes you feel good. Doing something where your body can be in its body, expressing in how it wants to express. Maybe that's primal roaring, playing with your kids, rolling around with your dog, whatever that be. The body is not meant to be sitting like this on a computer squinched over. This literally is like hell to the body. The body wants to move. So let your body move. Now, the next one is, again, these are foundational, not sexy, basic, is sunlight and grounding. To regulate our circadian rhythm, which is our daily rhythm, and that men and women have that, and then women have an infradian rhythm, which is a monthly rhythm. To regulate your daily rhythm, your monthly rhythm, and even your hormones, one of the most important things to do is within the first 20 to 25 minutes, but ideally 15 minutes upon waking, to get sunlight on your eyes. And that doesn't mean to look up at the sun. It means sunlight on your face. If the sun is rising, that's great time. If the sun is already high, close your eyes and let the sun hit your eyelids, hit your third eye. It is very stimulating. And what it does is it actually helps with your serotonin, your melatonin. It helps your body clock say, okay, it's daytime. Similarly, when the sun is setting, so at dusk or dawn, when the sun is setting, go outside for a little walk. As the lighting starts to change, it actually stimulates your brain to start releasing melatonin, which is what calms you down to help you go to bed. Now, light is so important. So when you're at home, you want to be also regulating your home lighting with the natural rhythms. Light is so crucial for our circadian rhythm. When we don't have a proper circadian rhythm, it's like the whole body clock is off. The routine of the body is off. And the body likes routine to feel safe, just like a baby. Or just like a dog. Animals and humans like to have cycles. And so putting yourself into a cycle and syncing yourself with the sun is foundational. And the other thing that most people miss out on, and most people get a 1 on 10, if that, is grounding. And what is grounding? Grounding means putting your feet on the earth. And maybe you know all of this, but are you actually doing it? Like, when was the last time you, for 15 minutes, put your feet on the grass? Well, maybe it's summertime, so maybe all of you have. But most of the time, a lot of people don't. They get up and live in their house of concrete or wood. They put on their shoes, go outside, they go to work, they come home, and that's their day. But we are intimately and intricately connected to the earth. And when we put our feet on the earth, and actually the skin on the bottom of the feet is the most absorptive. And you know this, if you put essential oils on the bottom of your feet, within a few minutes, you'll taste it, specifically if you use peppermint or something stronger. So at the bottom of the feet, we have these sensors, and it's very, very sensitive, that skin, it's very absorptive. When we stand on the earth actually fills our body with negative ions, which are the good ions, and pulls out the positive or chaotic ions from our body. So it creates a loop where it fills us with the good stuff, just like oxygen, and it pulls out the bad stuff, just like carbon dioxide. And so this is something that daily would be optimal, to go outside and just put your feet on the grass or the sand or the water, whatever it might be, for 15 minutes while you get your sun. If you can't do it daily, at least 2 or 3 times a week. It is crazy when we look at blood samples under a microscope before and after grounding. Before grounding, the blood is all clumped together in a stressful state. And after just 5 to 10 minutes of grounding, and then we retest the blood is beautiful with these big, perfect cells that are perfectly spread out, and they're not all chronically stressed. You can type in, if you want to see a visual of this, live blood microscopy before and after grounding. It's very cool. So there's that. We are meant to be in nature. And in this modern life, we're not. And when we're disconnected from nature, it is extremely stressful for the body, and the body can't rejuvenate. It's literally like plugging in your computer into the wall to get more energy. That's what we do when we're in nature. And then, yeah, if you live in Canada in the winter, it is very hard. You can put your feet on the snow, which is very, very cold, or you can actually buy a grounding mat. Or if you're really hardcore, you can have a container of dirt in your house, like just like a little container, put your feet on the dirt, or having like a little flower bed inside or some plants and put your feet there and then go wash your feet. But that's kind of inconvenient. But there are grounding mats that you can get, and they have a very similar effect. But yes, Canada is hard. And it's helpful to know, if you do live in a country like Switzerland or Canada, where there are 6 months of the year where it's snow, how you can do this. Ideally with a grounding mat, or even in your bathtub, if you have a filter on your shower, because we don't want fluorine and chloride, and you fill up your bathtub and you put in some Epsom salts, a little bit of baking soda, maybe even some essential oils or herbs or dried flowers, and you put your feet in, that can have a really nice effect as well. Okay, the next thing is hydration. So we all have heard you need to drink more water, but that's actually not technically true. Probably hundreds of years ago, or if you live in Iceland, then yes, drinking water is going to hydrate you. However, in our modern world, in most countries, tap water especially, but even bottled water or filtered water is devoid. It's like depleted of what actually hydrates us, which are minerals. So right here I have water, but I add minerals. And what's actually very fascinating is that if we drink what I'll call naked water or empty water, and most water is in most countries, apart from maybe like Austria, or like I said, Iceland, maybe some places if you're getting glacial water or spring water, most of the time it's depleted of magnesium, it's depleted of its main minerals. So when we're drinking a lot of this naked water, it's actually flushing out more of our minerals. So it's actually, weirdly, our hydration is actually dehydrating us. And we see this that most people that we test, and you can see it if you test clinically and you have these tests done, that most people are chronically dehydrated and chronically depleted of their minerals. So adding things like trace minerals or fulvic minerals or ocean minerals, Aussie minerals. I use an electrolyte blend. Adding in these electrolytes, or even if you can't get, products or whatnot, you can do a little bit of sea salt with a little squeeze of lemon into your water, and this can help to act as an electrolyte. I don't recommend Gatorade or things like that because they're filled with sugar, but a little bit of sea salt and a little bit of that fruit sugar with water, that can at least help to do the trick. And now it's not iodized sea salt. You want to get like a pure Celtic sea salt or a natural, good quality sea salt. But you want to be having enough of this good quality salt with the minerals, ideally. And ideally it is, if you can, like I said, the Aussie minerals, trace minerals, deep ocean minerals, or fulvic humic acid minerals. You can even do shilajit. There's so many different minerals that you can get. And I really like one called Electrolyte Elite, and you can find it on my website at samanthalotus.com/resources. Adding a little bit of your minerals to your water can really help. Now, even things like oat straw, the herb, has a high amount of minerals, horsetail, there's different herbs that have minerals, but you do want to be remineralizing your body and getting enough water. Water is the lifeblood, and we need it for every single function in the body. We need that. But the minerals, essentially, why they're so important is that they're a spark plug. It's like the electricity. Everything in our body, every function requires minerals. And when we're stressed, our stress rapidly depletes us of our minerals and our B vitamins. So going back to why protein, and specifically animal-based protein, is so fundamental, is that it is extremely rich in minerals and protein and B vitamins. Another thing that's extremely good for that are beef organ capsules, where you can have the beef organ meat. It's a little bit on the hardcore side if you've never had it, but you can also get it freeze-dried in capsules, and that can be very, very nutrient dense. And that's what we're looking for when it comes back to that eating. We want to be having nutrient dense foods, not all of these diet foods like rice cakes and these like 100-calorie crisp snacks and the keto snacks that are filled with erythritol and sucralose and these artificial sugars. Those are neurotoxins to the brain, and they send signals to the brain similar to cocaine. Actually, these little neurotoxins are similar to MSG, but they are a threat to the body that put us into a deeper state of stress and further dysregulate our nervous system. Okay, I have so much to talk about. I feel like we're going to go over 90 minutes. So we're definitely going to go over 90 minutes. I'm going to go faster. Okay, next one, breathing and stretching. The breath. Most humans do not breathe. They breathe very shallow through the chest. We need to be fully breathing with our whole body, with our diaphragms, with our spine, with our rib cage. Breathe with me. Fully exhaling. Most of us only breathe in and exhale, maybe in the 30% range. But if you were to fully breathe in through your nose, fully breathe in. And when you feel like you're done, breathe in more and more. And when you can, exhale and push all of the oxygen out of your belly. So you're going to press your belly in where it's like your belly button is going to touch your spine, and you're going to exhale every little last bit of breath. Practicing breathing and expanding. The breath is life, right? You can go many days without food. You can even go quite a bit without water. But if you go a few minutes without breath, you are dead. It is that important. And most of us are not breathing properly. But the slow, deep breath, or even alternate nasal breathing, in through one nose, in through one nose, in through one nostril, out through the other. Even a practice as simple as alternate nasal breathing, or just deep breathing, slow breathing, sighing. This sends a signal of safety to the body. And so does stretching. When the body is in a constricted state, that signals stress, right? When we're afraid, if somebody goes to punch you, you're going to cringe up. Like when you freeze, you go to protect your vital organs. And you can notice if you're stressed, if the way you sleep. If you sleep in fetal position, normally there's a chronic state of stress. If you are, if your body is really tight, your shoulders, your hips especially crunched forward, you're protecting. So things like yoga, or even just restorative stretching, if you don't believe in yoga, that's fine. But even just stretching the body, opening up the heart, opening up the chest, opening up the diaphragm, slowly breathing. This can send those signals of safety to the body, and it can just help detoxify you, rebalance you, and bring the body into that state of healing. Next is self-talk. We kind of talked about the stories already when it comes to food and the things that we say, but we really want to be mindful of the way we are speaking to ourselves. If you are bullying yourself, well, realize that you are the bully, but you're also the victim of the bullying. If you're chronically judging and attacking yourself and belittling yourself, speaking down to yourself, or getting annoyed and frustrated with yourself, you are like this bully that is beating up the little child inside of you. And if your little child does not trust you, it's not going to trust you, and you're never going to come into convergence with yourself unless you do that work. And there is no deeper and greater work than inner child work when it comes to being your own best friend and seeing your body as your inner child. Seeing that these parts of you, like, never squeeze your stomach and say, oh, I'm so fat, or oh, I'm disgusting, or oh, my face, I have wrinkles, oh, I'm so ugly. All of these things, like, would you say that to your best friend? Would you say that to your loved one? Would you say that to your child? I hope not, because that is so damaging to the spirit and to the inner child. And when the inner child feels unsafe and unheard and unloved and unaccepted, it goes into this constricted, unsafe place. And that is very much connected to where the symptoms come from in the body. So positive self-talk and treating yourself like a loved one, this is so foundational. There's an amazing free book that you can download called Mirror Talk by Louise Hay. And Mirror Talk by Louise Hay is a free program where, and I have it somewhere, if you want to message me, I can send it to you too. But it's just daily self-talk where you look in the mirror and affirm your love for yourself, and you rebuild that connection with yourself, because you do need to be your own best friend for you to fully heal and thrive and reach that optimum place. And so that one is a big one. And then wrapping up the very not sexy, but very foundational nervous system. We're only on number 1 of 7. Oh my gosh, I'm going to talk so much faster. Okay. Stick with me. Is sleep and routine. If you are not sleeping properly, you are not doing anything properly. And a lot of people think that they're actually sleeping properly, but you can't actually fully know unless you are tracking and seeing how you feel, and maybe even using a tracker, like a tracker ring. I have the Ultra Human ring, or the Aura ring, or a Whoop band, or any kind of watch or anything that you're tracking. But having proper sleep is the ultimate regeneration. If you are not sleeping properly, and it doesn't mean the length of sleep, it means the quality of sleep, your REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, and your deep sleep. Now, this is why I don't recommend alcohol, because when people drink alcohol, they actually don't get into deep sleep. They stay in light sleep, and light sleep is just filler time. It's in your deep sleep and the REM sleep that you actually heal and regenerate. So this is for all of you. If you are on your phones right up until the minute that you pass out, you're not doing yourself favors. If you're watching TV to fall asleep, you're not doing yourself favors. If you have your lights blaring in your house and you're ultra stimulated, or you're having coffee, you're drinking even cacao that has caffeine in it, or you're stressing out about your next day, most of the time you are not going to be in the proper brainwave state to descend into the healing space of sleep. So not sexy, right? I'm going to feel like your mom as a kid telling you to have a bedtime routine, but having a bedtime routine is the way to set up your day. And this means ideally sleep by no later than 11 p.m. in the ideal world. And what that would mean, if you say your sleep time is 11, or maybe it's 9, or whatever it is, at least 2 hours of down regulation time. Okay, so this is what you can call it for yourself. It's the down regulation window, meaning no stimulants. And so, and it can be harder if you have kids, but still, kids is less stimulating than screens and blue lights, and definitely not the news or a scary movie. But you want to start to wind down. That can be taking a bath, doing a nice nighttime routine, stretching, journaling. That can be making love with your partner, cuddling, walking your doggy, whatever it might be, anything that's calming for you, and getting into that routine. Because the body, like the circadian rhythm, it loves to be in a pattern. Even, and I didn't mention this, but when you eat food, if you eat food at the same time, breakfast at the same time, lunch at the same time, dinner at the same time every day, you will actually digest better than if you're eating whenever, however, wherever. So the body loves regularity, and sleep is the thing to absolutely prioritize. You cannot have a great morning unless you have a great evening, right? So in those cycles. Okay, so those are the foundations. Next, moving on, is number 3 is decoding your body. We have been taught to outsource our wisdom of our body to the doctors, right? This is, you grow up, something's wrong, your mom freaks out and takes you to the doctor, unless you were raised quite holistically with, medicine women type of people or men. But most of the time, we're taught that we don't know anything and we have to ask the professionals who know and tell us what to do, or we read the books, or we go online. And while that's great, it's great to get other people's feedback or opinions and have mentors. We have lost total touch with what our bodies actually feel and need. Most of us don't even know where our organs are or what they do, right? And that's not your fault. It's just you weren't taught. And maybe if you were taught once when you're like 12 years old and didn't care. But the one of the health secrets for true human optimization is learning the subtleties of your own body. Like, what am I feeling? What happens when I eat this thing in this way? Or how does this anxiety feeling feel? Why is it always here when I'm with this person? Or like, what's happening in my body when I go to work? Like this pain that comes in my shoulder. Where did this start? Like, I'm hungry. What do I actually want to eat? I'm eating. Am I actually full? Like listening and being in tune. Most of us live from here up, and our body is like this thing we drag around and flop all around. It's like just this inconvenient thing, right? But truly, it's your vessel. And I don't believe that we have a soul and a body and that they're separate, and our soul just kind of inhabits the meat suit that people talk about in the biohacking world. I believe that our body is the physical manifestation of our soul and spirit. And so we're intricately connected. The mind dictates to the body, and the body dictates to the mind. There's an afferent and efferent system. And so learning this inner wisdom, learning what the little signs are of the body, and knowing and listening, like truly getting to know your own body so that you are the ultimate expert in this. And I know if you're listening to this and be like, I have no clue how to, well, there are many ways. And so don't worry about that. But you could even dive into the research on how to know the body or how to listen, or just intuitive, but really it is paying attention. And if you are first starting and you're more mental, like I was, or still am, I'm much more mental than I am a physical. That's where my strengths are more in the mental realm. So I use my mind to decode my body sometimes. So you can track. So maybe you keep a life journal of, okay, I did this and this is how I feel. Or I did this and this is how I feel. And you start to notice the patterns. Another thing that you can do, so that's tracking. Another thing that you can do is testing. So like functional medicine testing. Now, this is not necessarily going to teach you how to decode your body, but it can give you a snapshot of what's actually happening in your body. And while testing can be a little bit dangerous because it can, most of the time people use tests to just prescribe you a bunch of drugs or a bunch of supplements, when that's not really the way that I like to see it. But I do like to use some tests to just see, okay, what's my body actually expressing? Some of these tests, one of them that I love is a hair mineral analysis test to test sensitivities. I find it's good to know what things I'm sensitive to. Not that I can be afraid of them, but just so that I can avoid them for a short while when I'm doing a healing phase or when I'm doing a recoding. So I like a hair mineral analysis test. The one that I work with is called Check My Body Health. It's very, very effective and affordable. And again, it's on my website, samanthalotus.com/resources. I like that one a lot. The second test I like is doing a blood test. a comprehensive blood test. Now, I don't read the results that the doctor gives me in their ranges. I use the functional medicine ranges just to see, how's my thyroid doing? How are my cortisol levels? What are my blood cells saying? Is there some infection markers? You know, how's my iron? This just shows me a snapshot of what my body is actually looking like, so that I can decode it later. The third test that I really love is called the Dutch Advanced Hormone Panel. This is something that can show you your estrogen levels. This is for men and women, your estrogen, your testosterone, your androgens, your cortisol, all of your stress hormones, but it also shows your sex hormones, stress hormones. It shows your detoxification pathways, if you're methylating properly, all sorts of things on how your body's actually working, as well as dopamine and your B vitamins, all sorts of things. It's an amazing test. And from there, it gives us a picture of, okay, this is where my body is at. So I actually really love testing. One, because I'm super nerdy and I like that kind of thing. And two, because it gives me a very clear picture. Now, what I do in my practice is I speak with people, I get their symptoms, I get all of their health history, and I always make my own analysis based on that, what I think is going on. And then if they want to, we do the testing. And what I've seen now, because I've been doing this for so long, they're almost always identical. Sometimes there are weird surprises, and that's why the testing is kind of fun. You can also do a genetic test. This is just not necessary, but if you are noticing that there's some strange things that are happening, or you just have the money and time and want to dive deep into your genetics, that can be helpful. A tool that I really like to use is, and I'm going to teach you now, it's very simple. It's called muscle testing. Now, put a 1 in the chat if you've heard of muscle testing, or maybe you know muscle testing. Okay, cool. So you know muscle testing. Perfect. So I'm going to give you a really quick way. Muscle testing is essentially this little exercise that you can do with yourself to test whether something is a yes or a no for your body. So for example, if I want to know if this electrolyte beverage is beneficial for my body right now, I can do a little test. Now, there's a couple of different ways you can muscle test, but the best way in my mind is just the finger test. So what you do is you put on your non-dominant hand. So say you're right-handed, you use your left hand. You take your thumb and your middle finger, or your ring finger, it doesn't really matter, but I like those. I'll use my middle finger, and you make a little okay sign. Now you're going to put your fingers together where there is pressure. It's like a clamp, but you're not squeezing down like a death grip. You're just holding it. Okay. So it's like a loop, right? And if I were to pull it, it's stable, but I'm not like squeezing down for dear life. Now you have that. Now with your dominant hand, you are going to, which one do I do? Yeah, I do middle fingers for both. So you're going to make 2 little circles like this, okay? This one's gonna be more of like an O, and this one's gonna be more like a, whatever that guy is. And then what you're gonna essentially do is you're gonna take your dominant hand and you're gonna put it through the loop and just like, gonna try to open it. But right now I'm not doing anything, I'm just letting my hands be floppy. But if you are actually holding a circle, when you ask a question and you're grounded in this, if the answer is a yes, your body is gonna hold tight. I'm asking in my mind, is my name Samantha? Yes. Is my name Cheryl? No. Okay. You can't overthink this, because if you try to overthink it or analyze it or like test multiple times or question it, it's not going to work. You just have to be in the energy. So what you can do is you can take a deep breath, get grounded, come out of your head as much as possible into your body. I'm going to do this muscle testing thing. And I do this if I'm choosing between foods often. Say you're at a restaurant, you like want a burger or you want a salad. So I will ask, is it in my best interest to have a burger right now? No. Is it in my best interest to have a salad right now? No, because I'm not hungry. Is it healthy for me to have this mineral beverage right now? Yes. My fingers have a stronger yes. Other people do this with their arm, where somebody else presses down on their arm. You can do it standing up, just standing up and ask a question. Is it in my best interest to go to this party tonight? And you just stand, and your body will either rock backwards if it's a no, or forwards if it's a yes. You can also do it with a pendulum. But this little finger trick is really, really helpful just to test. Is beef liver capsule good for me? Yes. How many do I take? 1, 2. 3? No. Okay. So you can start to test these different things by using muscle testing. And again, I have a whole video I'm going to put out on YouTube probably in a week or so that goes deeper into muscle testing. But this is a very cool tool that you can just start to get into that trust and into that communion with your body. All right, number 4. And this is the most untalked about and the most pivotal thing in terms of a holistic health strategy for human optimization. Now, I don't know who of you have studied medicine or the body or psychology, but every symptom, everything that happens in the body, at some level, one of the causes is stress, right? Like whatever it might be, digestion, immune system, cancer, anxiety, depression, whatever it might be. In every medical textbook, they will say there's some aspect of stress, right? But they just say stress. They put stress. So we all know stress is the root cause of all disease. There's a root there. But it's been said so many times, and it's just so like stress, like it means nothing, right? The word stress is just like a poof of nothing. But really, this is the most overlooked thing because it's everything. There's a whole, okay, so where do I want to go with this? Number 4 is about resolving your inner conflicts, or AKA dissolving the stress. Now, stress happens on the physical level, and we talked about that in number 2 with supporting your nervous system. All of the foundations will take care of the physical stress, right? But then there's the emotional stress and the psychological stress. Namely, if you are in a marriage that you hate, or you're going to a job that you hate, or you live in a town that you hate, or you are in some situation that you hate and you literally cannot stand it, that is an internal issue, an internal conflict that your body cannot process, that your nervous system, if it's chronic, every day you hate this thing, you hate this thing, you hate this thing, you cannot digest it, you cannot accept it, you cannot tolerate it. That is the root cause of what creates dis-ease, discomfort, illness in the body. And what's very fascinating is that, and many thought leaders have talked about this, Louise Hay has You Can Heal Your Life. There's Dr. something, I can't remember his name at the moment because my brain, it's a long name, Vander something, The Body Keeps the Score. There are many people that talk about the metaphysics, even in Chinese medicine or in Ayurveda. Many philosophers talk about this. But there's a new paradigm of medicine called German New Medicine, and it was created by a doctor called Dr. Hammer, and he studied the connection between inner conflicts and physical illness for many years. He did, I think, something like tens of thousands of brain scans on people, that he measured the brain scans and saw exactly where in the brain there were these little areas of like inflammation, these distinct marked areas in the brain that related exactly to a specific organ system. And it was exactly correlated with a type of stress, or what he calls an inner conflict. And over the something of tens of thousands of patients that he studied and the many years of his research, there was never an exception to this rule. So he always found that, say somebody perceives an inner conflict as an attack or a territorial conflict or something that they just couldn't digest, it would always show up in the same part of the brain and always show up in the same part of the body, unless they were right-handed or left-handed, and some of them would show up on the opposite side depending on their right-handed or left-handedness. And so this is a framework or a new paradigm of medicine called German New Medicine. And what they said is even things like the common cold is the biological process of the body going through a resolution of a conflict. And think of it like this. A lot of people, they work, and finally when they go on vacation, they get sick. Maybe let me know if that's ever happened to you. Or they're stressed, and as soon as the stress finishes, they get sick. Or there's something complicated going on in their life, or there's a trauma that happens, and all of a sudden they get breast cancer. Or they have digestive issues, all of a sudden IBS out of nowhere once their husband left them. or they all of a sudden have a tumor that pops up once their mother died, right? We see these a lot, we hear about them a lot, but there has not been enough research or enough literature in the modern medical world that actually speaks to this. Now, German New Medicine and Dr. Hammer was extremely prolific. He's an Austrian doctor, and his medicine and his ways were spread across Europe, and they were so prolific that they got shut down. He was labeled as a quack. All of his books were, shut down and suppressed. But there's been a resurgence of his work, and this work in the connection between conflict and the physical body. And so the body is actually so much more literal than we take it. Like the feet. When there's an issue with the feet, that's connected to an issue that we have about moving forward. Or the neck is about perspective, or the hips about some kind of flexibility. The breast is often connected to our children or our mother or parents. For men, the testicles is often connected to a child or to the father. Our digestion is connected to literally what we are not digesting. Anxiety or things in the lungs connected to this, whatever's happening that shocks us or takes away our breath. And so when we can start to see or even contemplate the fact that these unresolved conflicts in our life, these unresolved stresses in our life are potentially connecting us to the issues that we're having. Things like endometriosis even is very much connected to sexual trauma or to the trauma of not being able to procreate. A lot of women that have miscarriages end up having endometriosis. So, there's so many different things. Even prostate cancer is very much connected to not being able to let go. The prostate and the anus is all about letting go. And if there's something in the body or something in our psyche that we cannot let go of, it can create, through these biological processes, these accumulation of tissues or tumor cells or cancer cells. And what we see is that when they resolve and we come into harmony with our own minds, we resolve, either we switch the situation, we remove ourselves, or we change the way we see the situations. We change our perception of the situations in our life. The body goes through a clearing, which is often what we see in symptoms. And so if we can start to look at our lives from this 30,000-foot perspective and see, like, when did I start that? When did this issue start? When did this thing, what is bugging me? What am I not looking at? What am I not processing? Who have I not forgiven? What have I not forgiven myself for? How have I not forgiven my mom or my dad? What am I still feeling guilty about? What do I actually hate, but I'm still doing? Who do I not really like, but I'm still friends with them? Like, where, the word I say, where are you not in coherence with yourself? And start to think about those things. And as we shift those and as we resolve them, we see such amazing miracle healings that happen in our life. And I truly believe that there's nothing that you can do, no detox, no protocol, no biohacking, no foundations that can overcome being in deep internal conflict with yourself. Yes. And even things like something that we see a lot in the social media world or the functional medicine world is this talk about histamines. It's kind of a weird deviation, but histamines or allergies is when, and a lot of people are talking about mast cell activation and histamines and whatnot. And we see it as the body is just allergic to a bunch of stuff and producing this allergic response. Maybe we bump into rashes, or we have these allergies or these IBS or flare symptoms. But really this histamine response, this is really our body showing or screaming this alarm system that we're not safe, that we're in conflict, that we just can't take it anymore. The bucket of conflict is full. The nervous system on high alert is full. So when we're in this chronic state of conflict, we're in this chronic state of stress, it's only when we resolve that or the conflict is shifted or mediated that the body can go back down into its state of rest and digest. And sometimes what that actually looks like is a sickness or a symptom or something happening that makes us slow down, be in bed, and fully just process. So even the way that the world sees getting sick, the way that we see it in this kind of worldview, or even in the shamanic view, is that we are getting better. This is the healing. So what I want you to start to see is this shift in how we even perceive ourselves. Like if you have a cold, don't say I'm sick. You can say I'm clearing, I'm healing, I'm in the healing journey, because our bodies are always listening and our nervous system is always coding and recoding itself, sending the signals that send the signals that send the signals that send the signals. So we want to be consciously aware of the signals and the programs that we're programming into our bodies. Okay, number 5, we're getting there. We are getting there. We are way going over time. So I was so ambitious saying 90 minutes. It's never 90 minutes. I hope you're having fun though. Are you having fun? Are you learning anything? Is this worth your time so far? Maybe just write yes if you're having fun. Okay, good. Thank you. That's good to know. All right. So once you go through these steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, these steps are actually nominal. They come one after another. There's an order of operations. The 5th step is cleanse and reset, or detox, but not in the way that we know detox. And actually, the way that we know detox is actually very dangerous. For us to go from this like chaotic, stress, not choosing ourselves, not in the foundations, and then just take a bunch of herbs that are going to like kill bugs and parasites, or like do a green juice cleanse that's just going to purge something, or take a bunch of laxatives or whatever people are doing out there, that is extremely damaging to the body. One, if you're not doing the foundations, your body is not properly draining. It's not properly safe. Your nervous system is not okay. And now taking a bunch of killing herbs, or doing anything that's detoxifying, or these cleanses or these fasts, is going to just further dysregulate you and bring you right back to number 0. So when we cleanse the physical body, because the physical body is really just the manifestation of the mental and emotional body, there's no point to cleanse until you do the foundational work of getting your foundations, getting your nervous system, resolving those inner conflicts, and then you can purge. It's like if you're full of shit, if you're full of shit, and then just all of the, the life shit, the nervous system shit, the emotional shit. Sorry that was not more graceful. If you're full of shit, there's no point in going in and blasting your body. You have to first start to release all of that to get your body prepared for that. You have to strengthen yourself and be ready to let go. And so the emotional and mental letting go does get to happen first before you start to do all of these cleanses. Now, we hear a lot about parasite cleanses and candida cleanses and juice fasts and metabolic fasts and all this kind of stuff. And it's all crazy. It's all nonsense and dangerous unless you understand the order of operations of things. So, do I think cleansing is good? Yes, I do. Because cleansing is this spiritual practice. So and I know so many people that come to me and they're like super on the go, chaotic, doing all these things. And they're like, I'm not eating for 5 days and I'm taking oil of oregano and herbs. And I'm taking this clay stuff that's just supposed to suck out my poo. And I'm, doing this, and I'm exercising every day, and I'm fasting. And I'm like, girl, that's not good. That's not going to serve you. And then they lose some weight, and then they gain it all back, and then they have more anxiety, and then they feel worse about themselves, and their metabolism has taken a hit. It's just no bueno. So when you're actually ready, when you're in a good place, that's when you can do a cleanse just to get rid of the old residue. Now, there are some amazing cleanses, but I don't really recommend ones that are extreme for most people. So, and especially for women, and especially if you're menstruating. Now, men can handle fasting better than women can, and men can actually handle cleansing better than women can. Men's bodies are stronger naturally in their resilience. Okay, I'm not saying that women aren't strong. I'm a firm believer that women are powerful. However, our nervous systems, our serotonin, our dopamine, our whole systems are not as resilient and as men's. We're not wired that way. We're not biologically meant that way. And sorry to the wokeism, but we're not the same. We're completely different. And so what we need to do is to be honoring our natural cycles, honoring our natural body, and doing things that are nourishing and gentle. So even if you are, say you've gone through this and you've shifted the inner conflicts and you've resolved the things and you've changed the situations and now you just want to like reset your body, that's when you can do things like a herbal cleanse or an essential oil cleanse, things that will remove or help to move the toxins or the heavy metals or the remaining parasites that are naturally in the body when we're in conflict, because they help to process the toxicity and they actually do serve a purpose, or the excess candida or bacteria. Those things are actually natural biological things that are everywhere and they are in our bodies, and they're there actually in a way to help us to help us clear. Now they're not meant to live there, they're not meant to stay there, and if we're forever in these toxic patterns and these toxic mind patterns, they're going to live in us and they actually do feed off of us, and that's a whole other story. But you have to be in the right place, because if you just go killing off all of the parasites and bacteria, you're also going to kill off the good guys. It's going to send your body right back into stress state. And if you've never taken care of and resolved the reasons why you were so stressed or the reasons why you were in such inner conflict, you're just going to go back into those same patterns. Now, there are many beautiful ways to cleanse, and it depends on you. And this is where I'm not going to just give you the way to cleanse. I do really recommend working with a practitioner, or at least knowing the right cleanse for you. For instance, say you're clearing from a sexual trauma. That is going to be different than if you're clearing from a situation that you could not digest, or you're clearing from immense disempowerment and anxiety, right? Maybe a sexual trauma would be working with sound healing and sauna and sweating and maybe yoni steaming, which is an ancient practice. That's going to be a little different. It's going to be tailored towards you. Now, say you were in a very toxic, I'll label it toxic relationship, or one that was abusive. There's going to be maybe different kinds of cleansing that's going to happen. Often candida comes when we give away our power. So maybe you're going to be working on more of a bacterial, but also maybe heart. Maybe that's working a little bit with more with plant medicines, or with energy healing. It's going to be a little bit different from you. And in my program in Optimum, we go really deep into all of the different kinds of detox and cleansing. And maybe you're hoping that I give you just a straight answer on how to cleanse, but it is sacred, and it's also really specialized. And just detoxing and parasite cleansing and doing all of these flushes and fasts, we're actually doing more damage than good to our bodies more often than not. And so you do really want to find the bio-individuality of this. And you could probably find that doing your own research, or even making ChatGPT your functional medicine shamanic doctor. You could do that. But I would recommend being guided in that, because that is something that it does follow an order of operations. I do think, though, that everyone can and would benefit from doing a parasite cleanse, maybe even once a year, or if you've gone through many traumatic things for a long time or many health issues, then once you go through and do these first steps, doing a parasite cleanse can be very, very helpful. If you like oils, there's a really great oil one. You can message me, I can support you there. Or even if you like herbal supplements, there's a company called Cellcore, and I have a practitioner account with them. You have to go through a practitioner. They have amazing parasite cleanse kits that you work with the full moon. There's tinctures and herbs, and it gives you all of the steps on how to do that. That can be very helpful. And also, if you have been having digestive issues or even endometrial issues, anything womb related, anything in those lower chakras, even partnering those cleanses with things like colon hydrotherapy or coffee enemas, where it's a flushing of the bowel, because when our bodies are in fight or flight and chronic stress for a long time, our bowels tense up, our whole bodies tense up, and old fecal matter, all the poop, old stuff, old toxicity, old parasites, but even old energies can hang out in the tissues of the bowel and even the womb and the uterus. So having these cleanses like the yoni steaming or the colon hydrotherapy or coffee enemas, that can just be a really good extra cleansing when you are in this reset process. It's kind of like a phoenix phase. When the phoenix dies and turns to ash and is reborn, this can be a process that can help facilitate that, just that transformation. Let me see if there's anything I missed on that. Yeah, and fasting, if I didn't say this, fasting is something that can be very wonderful. And this is actually the next step in biohacking. But if you are in a dysregulated place or have any history of eating disorders, or if you know that you tend to be doing it for aesthetic reasons or for weight loss reasons, you have to understand that if the energetic of cleansing has to be pure, it has to be God frequency moving through you. It has to be pure. But if it's subtle, like I hate how fat I am, I want to lose weight, so I'm going to do this juice fast because I'm fat and disgusting and I'm going to deprive myself. What you're doing is abusing yourself. And you cannot abuse yourself into loving yourself. You cannot abuse yourself into a body that you love. You cannot pretend. So you have to be radically honest with the intention of everything you do. Okay. That's the other thing with cleansing. Most of the time, people are just living their life, flailing headless chickens, and then taking all of these pills. That's not intentional. That's not going to help you. It's actually going to just put you into further dysfunction. So I want you to promise yourself now, please, if you're into all of this fasting and into all this cleansing and into every single detox, I've been there. I've been there. I've been there. I've been there. Please hear me that it's just probably not going to be the best thing for you. Okay, number 6. Now, once you've gone through everything and you've cleansed it all out and you're feeling fresh, like you're feeling good, you want to continue with the foundations, because these are the foundations. The foundations are the foundations are the foundations. These are forever. They're not sexy, but they're like your best friends. Okay, they're the things that you want to continue lifelong. Now, once those are solid, they don't have to be perfect though. There's no perfect, but once they're pretty solid, like at least a 7 on 10, that's pretty solid. Then you can move in from the healing space to the optimization space. Okay, because you can't really optimize until you are gone through the healing. So anything from like 0 to 3 on 10 is like, starting to heal. From 3 to 5 is the healing. From 5 to 7, that's starting to be like the transformation. And 7 to 10 is the optimization. And this is where you can bring in the biohacks. And maybe in some of the other phases, there's some things that you could bring in. But when it comes to the typical things that we see in biohacking, like these, medicinal mushrooms, or these like biohacking coffees, or the meditation headsets, or the infrared saunas and the ice baths, and the tech rings and compression boots and all of these different things. Like, we're merging technology with humans. And I think those are all very cool, and I love all of them, but they're not the place necessarily that you need to start, because that can be a little bit overwhelming and you're probably not going to get the ultimate benefit from these things. The true biohacks are going back down to the basics. The optimization hacks are things that when you are already at maybe 8 and you want to get to 10, that's where you can use these things, like the tracking and the meditation, and starting to, going really deep into the optimal place. But you don't necessarily need to start there. And that's what I tell people. You don't need the fancy sauna blanket and the fancy headset and the tracking tools and, pushing yourself into ice baths and high intensity interval training and CrossFit and all these like intense things. Those things are actually not for the 0 to 7 most of the time. They're overwhelming. They can be hyperstimulating. They can actually be too much. So you want to look at these optimization or biohack things and see where you're actually at and if that is what you need. Or if you're actually just trying to skip the basics and skip to just the easy pill or the easy supplement or the easy oil or the easy tool that's going to get you there. Most of the time, you're probably just going to waste your money and then feel defeated when all these expensive gadgets aren't really helping you in the way that you want. And this is why I actually didn't talk about supplements almost at all throughout this webinar, is because most of the time, naturopaths or coaches are going to just put you on a ton of supplements. And there are some amazing supplements. And in this biohacking, some of the supplements I do recommend are magnesium, a form called bisglycinate. I love magnesium, and I think everybody needs to take it daily. You can muscle test for yourself or just titrate upwards. There's something called a magnesium bowel tolerance test, where you start off with 1, then you go up to 2 a day, 3 a day, 4 a day, 5 a day. And once you start to have loose stools, you know that your optimum dose is just a little bit less. So you can do that. I love things like a methylated B vitamin, especially when you're in the foundations, to up level your nervous system to support your stress. That can be very, very helpful. There are supplements like ashwagandha or rhodiola that I really love. Things like beef liver organs, which are extremely nutrient dense supplement, a food-based supplement. I love vitamin C from camu camu or acerola cherry. This is great for the nervous system, for the immune system. I love essential oils. I use them all the time. I have them here with me, for the nervous system, for skin, for self-care. They're wonderful things that you can do. And you absolutely can and should do them, but don't rely on those things. This is the thing. The power and the empowerment is truly from the things that you can actually do simply in your lifestyle. And that's not so much about these things outside of you. And then when it comes to ice baths, which is super controversial, don't ever ice bath on your period. That's opposite energetics. And if you're already in a chronic state of fight or flight, doing ice baths can actually just send more adrenaline and more cortisol through your body and make it even worse. Men tend to do much better with ice baths, women not so much. But if you do want to do ice baths, do it as an optimization biohack, and make sure it's after your menstrual cycle in those first 2 weeks, not right before your menstrual cycle or during, because that is just messes with the natural rhythms of your body. All right, number 7. And number 7, we're going to get a bit more spiritual and a bit more in the woo. The way that I see it is that our body is the vessel that our soul or our spirit or our consciousness, it's the physical manifestation, but it's not just here to exist. Our body, I don't believe, is here to just be a body. It's not here to just consume the world. It's not here to just flop around and be stressed. I believe that we have a soul that inhabits the body at a specific time, space in our, reality, because it has a purpose. And stick with me on this, because this is a bit philosophical here. But when our body is being utilized in a way that is not in resonance with our soul's purpose, it struggles, because it literally doesn't have, it's like the spark plug of the body is the physical body is electrolytes and minerals. Well, the spark plug of our health and vitality is that we're utilizing our time and our physical essence here on the planet Earth to fulfill the calling of our soul. And maybe you don't like the word soul, but your purpose. And this is the thing I've seen so much, so often. I've been in practice technically for 15 years, but I've been a coach since I was 5, which is why I became a coach. And what I've seen over and over and over and over again, especially with people that have chronic illness, like chronic hypothyroidism or chronic digestive issues, chronic fibromyalgia, anything, these chronic issues or anxiety, depression. One of the first questions I ask people is, what are you doing for work? Do you love what you do? Or who are you married to? Do you love your marriage? Or did you really want to have kids? Why didn't you? Do you want to have kids? What do you really want to do? Because if you're living your life doing what you don't want to do, you know that you are wasting your life. Like, it subconsciously. You know that your time on this earth is maybe 80 years if you're lucky. So if you're 36 like me, we're halfway done our life if we get 80 years. And if you are living your life, the one that you have is you, doing things you hate with people that you don't like, not doing what you feel you were meant to do, it sucks the life out of you. And this is the true cause of adrenal fatigue, is not being in alignment with who you really are and what you really want and why you're really here. And this world, this matrix that we live in, has conditioned us to be employees, has conditioned us to be cogs in a wheel, has conditioned us to be kind of like sheeple people that just follow the path that was told to us. But if that path doesn't feel authentic to you, if it doesn't light you up, it literally is like your soul. If there's a block between your soul and your body, because your soul is like, I don't want to do this shit, I hate this, then your body doesn't have the life force. It's like not plugged in, it's not connected. And that's where you have, like, that's where we see anemia. That's where we see hypothyroidism or adrenal fatigue or this chronic fatigue, chronic pain. It's because you're not in coherence with yourself. And so what I find and what I've seen and what my truest belief is that there is no better medicine than aligning with your true purpose. And your purpose doesn't just have to be the work that you do, right? Some people, their purpose, like my grandfather, his purpose was to be a father and to be a husband. That's what he was here for. He would tell you anytime, my job is that's just to provide for my wife and my family. That was his purpose. Some people it's to be a mom. Some people it's to be an artist. Some people it's to plant cucumbers. Other people, like myself, it's to share and help share a version of consciousness that I feel could inspire people, to lift people up. Yours might be whatever it might be. And like I said, some people don't actualize through their work. I know many people that their life purpose is to explore reality. Their life purpose is to cook for people. Their life purpose is to teach. Their life purpose is to be outdoors and just enjoy nature. It's the thing that truly lights you up. And so if your body is your vessel, and you're feeling that your body is not in the vitality, well, start to ask yourself, where am I being dishonest? And dishonest isn't just what you say, but where am I being dishonest? Is it in my marriage? Is it in my friendships? Is it in my work? Is it in the clothes that I wear? Is it in the way I express myself or not express myself? Is it in the way I hide my shine when I really want to sparkle? How is it? And do I have the courage? Do I have the courage to go back to step one, to choose myself fully? And so you see how this comes full circle. Do I have the courage to go all in on myself? Do I have the courage to really claim what I actually am here for? And I'm not telling you to quit your job and quit your life and just, trust that everything's going to be caught, because I do believe that when you leap, the net appears. However, that is also just not great advice, because it's very, very high risk and not everybody's risk tolerance. But what you can do is to start to journal and to start to introspect even deeper, if this is resonating with you, and start to ask, like, what am I really good at? What do I really love? What lights me up? What could I get paid for? What would I do if I could do anything? What dreams have I never really told anybody? Who do I want to be? How do I want to feel? Who do I want to be surrounded by? What problems do I want to solve? Like, what actually lights me up? Or what do I hate? what do I not want to do? Just asking yourself these questions can give you that clarity. And when you have that clarity, then from there you can start to do the manifestation practice of visualizing. And visualizing yourself as that person, and really doing the practice every day in the morning and at night, is closing your eyes and visualizing how you look, how you feel, who you're around, what you're doing, who's interacting, what the colors are, what the smells are, what the tastes are. Make it so big. Turn up the color, turn up the sound, make it bright, and do this and feel it. Like, feel the feelings of being fully healthy. Feel the feelings of being fully vital. Feel the feelings of being in your ultimate power and your higher self. Truly feel that. And then you can start to make a plan, because manifestation is not just visualization. It's also, well, what's a plan? How can I get started? How can I start a side hustle? Or how can I start to do that more? How can I take that first step? How can I take that leap? And then go back to number one and commit and choose. And then from there, it's just consistent, aligned action. With everything that I've shared with you, there's no need for perfection, but there is an invitation to take consistent, aligned action. actually, to take imperfect, consistent, aligned action. Imperfect, ICAA. Imperfect, consistent, aligned action. What does that mean? Well, most people get stuck by perfectionism. Most people are not consistent. Most people don't do aligned action. They just flop around like headless chickens, right? But if you can make that plan and start to be consistent and not needing perfection to hold you back, but just walking towards that path, doing the things that you know are going to nourish your nervous system, nourish your body, nourish your mind, nourish your life, get connected to nature, put your face in the sun, put your feet on earth, surround yourself with people that light you up and lift you up, inspire you, motivate you, like set your soul on fire. And then do the reset process. Let yourself die and be reborn if you need to go through that. Really strengthen yourself, optimize yourself, and walk the path of your highest truth. Because this is what we came here for. This is what the opportunity is. So I hope that made sense for you. And let me know, write yes in the comments if you're still with me here, if you can kind of see the connection between health and purpose and how they're not separate. And if you follow me for a while, you know that I teach about health and I teach about business. And there are, let me just see, wait for a sec. I teach about health and I teach about business. And a lot of times people say, like, well, where's the connection there? Like, what do you mean you're a health coach, but also a business coach? And the reason why I do both is because I feel like there's no separation between the two. As when you're in your power in your business, you need your health to be able to do that. And once you have your health, well, why? To live your purpose. And so I hope that this planted that seed of that interconnectedness. And to close out, now that we're already 20 minutes over time, I want to just dive back in and share something with you that I'm very excited about. And maybe you've seen a little bit in your emails. And if not, that's okay. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. So I have a holistic health mastery program. It is the first time and the last time I'm going to launch it live, because after this, I am shifting more into a bit more holistic mastery, a bit more of the purpose and consciousness. And I've been teaching health for a really long time, but this is the signature program. This is everything I know put into a comprehensive program. And it's called OPTIMUM, and it starts in 4 days. So it is, I'm going to tell you about it a little bit. It's a 3-month live program where you have personalized support. I do have a maximum capacity, so we're not going to be hundreds of people. It's going to be a smaller community where we have personalized support, so you can actually get that one-on-one feedback. There's bi-weekly coaching calls. There's comprehensive resources. So there's tons of pre-recorded videos, live videos, PDFs, resources, recipes, guides. There's everything that I've really ever learned that is useful put together for the mind, the body, the spirit. You have lifetime course access to it. You also have student discounts. So when you're in this program, you have discounts to anything else that I do and all of the products that I love and anything else. And then there's also going to be a tight-knit community group for accountability and support. Normally, to work with me in full disclosure, for 3 months would be around $6,500 US. And this time for this program, I am offering it for $777. I've never done anything like this. I wanted to test out making something so accessible as possible, so that the most amount of people could be a part and I could get this message out and just see people transform and do that together. And also the little special gift is that for being on this webinar and lasting 2 hours, if you are interested in the program and you want to join, there is an additional $100 gift discount. When you go to the checkout page, you can type in the code webinar and you'll receive $100 off the $777 US. And we do begin September 17th. And if you want to learn more or see more about the program, essentially it's a deep dive into everything that I talked about today, way deeper dive into the spirituality, into all of the nutrition, the detoxing, the fundamentals, the hormones, the thyroid, the organ tissue, everything. We just go really, really deep, and you get to be supported in your own journey in what's going on with you, so that you finally get the right answers and get to the healing work, especially when it comes to the inner resolutions, this is where the work gets to be really, really deep. So you can go to samanthalotus.com/optimum if you want to learn more, or if you are just curious, you can go there. If you have any additional questions or you need some more support, just reply to any of my emails that I've sent you, and I will absolutely get back to you. But we do start in 4 days. So there is a little bit of a time crunch on that one. If you want to get in touch, you can connect with me on Instagram. I answer all my messages. You can email me, check out my website. I didn't put a bunch of testimonials because I don't like to sell things that way. But if you want to see testimonials from the many people that I've worked with, you can go on my website. There's a praise page, and I have the picture of the people and their real testimonials. So you can check that out because it's sometimes nice to get that validation. And I'm going to leave you with this. And if you do have any questions, I will check because I realized I said that. Okay, so little quote that I love to end my programs with is to embrace the unknown with unwavering courage, for within its depths lay the boundless opportunities that will shape your destiny and unveil the extraordinary path that awaits you. And I truly believe that there is an extraordinary path that awaits each and every one of you. And you so deserve to be optimum. You so deserve to be radiant and healthy and aligned. And I am just so grateful I got to be a little piece of this tonight or today, whatever time it is for you. And I'm really super honored that you decided to invest this time with me. So thank you so much. A round of applause for you for being here. And if you do have any questions, I will stay on for another 8 or 9 minutes. I am just going to dim these lights because it's very late for me. So 1 second, write your questions. Okay, got some moodiness. All right. Yes, that missing piece. Okay. I coach people in a specific area of creating safety in their system is a game changer. Yes, man, I love that. I recently heard about Kangen water and some other hydrogen water things. Do you think water is as important? Yes. So I don't believe in Kangen water because of the alkaline aspect. When we drink a lot of alkaline water, it can actually dilute our digestive juices and our gastric juices, which are required to break down our foods. And actually, after age 30, our enzymes and our gastric juices start to deplete themselves. And so we do need more enzymes, and that is a supplement that I do recommend a lot of people take, a nice natural enzyme. And I love hydrogen water. The benefits are astounding. I think Kangen water can be cool to wash your vegetables if you're going acidic, but I don't think the Kangen is worth the money, and I don't think it's the best. And there actually is quite a lot of research on why Kangen is not the way to go. Okay, HIIT weight training. I'm a no for high intensity interval training unless you're a man. For women, most of the time, it is extremely stressful on the body. Now, I know that CrossFit women look ripped, and they are ripped, and they have very high testosterone, and their estrogen is probably pretty low, and a lot of them don't menstruate. So if you're in your fertility window or you're looking to be optimal, I do not recommend high intensity interval training. And it's actually not proven to have more benefit than just natural weight training. So there's controversy there. But if you love it and it makes you feel amazing, but notice the difference between makes you feel amazing or makes you feel high on stress hormones, because there is a difference. So I prefer just natural weight training and cardio that I actually love. I don't recommend excess cardio, like hours of running a week, because it does increase the cortisol. You can do a HIIT or running or whatever when you are in the 8 to 10 on, 8 to 10 on the optimization, because your body can handle it because it's more resilient. But if you're in a healing, it will probably just exacerbate the issues even more. Okay. Is tree hugging and being outside enough? Yes, definitely hug a tree. Loving it, loving it, loving it. Beautiful, makes sense. What will I do with this one wild and beautiful life? Isn't that the most fun thing ever? So many people stress, like, what's my purpose? What am I here for? What am I meant to do? I'm some of those people sometimes too. I've gone through phases of that. But then it's like, it's not about even what you do. It's about like who you are and what wants to emerge from you, what art you want to create, what medicine you want to share, what experience you want to have. And so be playful with that. Like, what do I get to do? Not so much like, oh, what am I meant to do? Like constricted, but like expansive. What do I get to do? Universe, show me, like remind me. And often it's what we really wanted to do when we were kids. And so if you can tap back into before all of the conditioning and all the trauma and all the adulting, what did you love when you were a kid? There's sometimes some insight in there. Or the trauma that we've been through and the challenges that we've overcome, sometimes that becomes a part of our purpose. Like I never thought I was going to teach nutrition or wellness, but I was very sick and everyone in my family has cancer and I watched everyone die and I went through intense chronic health issues and hypothyroidism and endometriosis and infertility issues and I was diagnosed as borderline personality disorder and all of the things. All of the things. And so I had to figure it out. And then I thought, why the hell does anyone know this? Why don't people know this? I have to share this. So, sometimes our mess is our medicine, and sometimes the journey shows our purpose. It kind of unveils itself to us. Let's see. Okay, can you tell us about eye health optimization, how you reverse your astigmatism? I have a whole program on that. It's samanthalotus.com/vision. It's $11. And it's good. It's deep. It goes into the nutrition, the supplements, the lifestyle, the eye practices, all of that. When you are a part of Optimum, though, you also get my other programs. So if you want to join Optimum, you can also get the eye program, the vision program. And it's about more than just vision. It's about vision. It's about vision. It's deep. So check that out. Let's see. So I'm getting to the bottom. We're almost there. Thank you so much, Samantha. You're an inspiration. I've learned so much. I'm so glad. What do you think of Santivia? I did like Santivia. Like, the machines. I think it's a great filter. It takes out fluoride, it takes out chlorine, and it has the rock minerals. I like that. I still would add more minerals to the Santivia though. Okay, thank you. I had the intuition about the water, so I appreciate your wisdom. My pleasure. Will the recording for this be available to us at some point? I had to attend a work meeting at one point. Yes. If you signed up for this year in my newsletter, so I will send this out most likely tomorrow. And do you think relocating to another country can be the missing key to finding true happiness and health? I'm wondering if I'm running away from something or running towards my purpose. I think that the book, The Alchemist, is a wonderful read, especially for anyone asking this. There's something about the hero's journey. And sometimes you need to leave home to realize that home is the place or to realize that it isn't. But if you have that call, now that I'm biased because I've spent the last 13 years traveling, I've been to 50 some odd countries. So I'm biased because that was a big part of my journey. But you have to trust yourself on that. And, there's no harm in traveling and going on the adventure and seeing what unfolds. And often we can't know until we know. And often we can't know until we experience. And the more that we're stuck in our head about decision, just take a path, just leap. And often through that experience, the truth is revealed to us. So I hope that was helpful. Thank you all again so much. I want to remove my spotlight, see who's still here. Okay, we still have lots of people here. Well, I love you all. Thank you all. And, being biased. Look that one up. This is a good English. Being biased is because it's my own. If I'm really into something, I'm going to like it more. That's a kind of like a personal preference or bias because I'm in that situation. So if any of you do feel called to joining Optimum, I would love, love, love to have you. It is going to be a deep dive and a very transformative, empowering journey. And if not, I hope that this was helpful to you. I hope it inspired. I hope it planted a seed. And I welcome your feedback. If you want to send me a message, especially on Instagram, it's always helpful. I love hearing your stories. I love hearing your epiphanies, your insights, and building this community and having you as a part of it is very special to me. So thank you all so much. I love you. I appreciate you. And I'll see you soon. Mwah.